Good morning, friends. Today is Thursday, and this is our small group. I'm going to get right into it. We have so many fun things to do today. So the first thing I want you to work on is, or the first thing I want to tell you about is that I sent your grown-up your name song. And so I have your names here, and I just want to share some of our friends' names. And if this is your name, this is how you practice it. And I really want you practicing your name because it's so important that not only you're able to say what your name is. So I want you to practice that, like what's your first name, middle, and last. But also, what are the letters of your name? Can you spell your name? And if you saw a letter, do you know if it's in your name or not? So here's Langston's name. Langston has the longest name in our class. And so this is how he would sing his name. Langsto, that's his name. Langsto, that's his name. And so Langston, you would practice singing those letters and saying that's your name. And then we have Jack and Isa. Whoops. Jack, Isa, and Zoe. So here's Zoe's name, here's Jack's name, and here's Isa's name. And they do it to the song Bingo. So I'm sorry. They do it to the song YMCA. So they would go ISSE, da-na-na-na-na-na, JACKA. ZOEY, da na 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 na. So they go to that beat. So you three would be singing that song and getting really good at it. And then we have our students so we have on Hill. We have two on Hills. We have James and we have Miley and Sade, and they all have 5 letters. So they do it to the song Bingo. So they would go SUDEJAMESMILEYANGEL. So you guys are doing it to Bingo. So Sade, Miley, James, and On Hills, that's your song. And Zahara and Andres, they have 6 letters of their name. So they do it to the song Deo. So it'd be ANDRES. And Zahara's would sound like this. ZAHARA. And then we have Malia. Malia, you're my last one. You have 7 letters in your name, and yours goes to Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. MALIYAH. Yours makes me kind of sleepy. So you're going to practice that. So that's number 1. I want you to not only practice telling people that your first name is, like mine, Michelle. My middle name is Lee, and my last name is Shetler. So practice knowing your name, being able to spell your name, and then writing your name. And so in your learning kit, you all have this sheet. Remember, when we write our names, we start at the top of a letter, and you can copy over the one that I gave you if you're still working on that. And then if you know how to write the letters of your name, I saw on Hill, Trinidad Rosa, you were sending me awesome. I was so proud of you. You did great writing your name. I saw Miley practicing her U and Jack writing his name. Keep sending me those videos and keep practicing your name. It's really important. Okay, we're going to get into the second thing that we're going to do today, and that is talking about the letter U. So I want to share my screen with you, and I have some U's, and my our special friend that we learned about before are S. And so remember, the letter U makes 2 sounds, and U, like unicorn, and like an umbrella. And but let's go ahead and count these. How many letters altogether do you think I have here? I know I have more than 1. I know I have less than 10 because that's a lot. So let's go ahead, and I like to put them in order. And I'm going to actually put them in a little pattern. So I'm going to start with my U. U, S, U, S. I kept repeating U and S, but I ran out of letters. So let's go ahead and count. How many did I have? 1, 2, 3, 4. And I want to point out that you want to only give each letter that you put down, you want to make sure you count it only 1 time. Because then if you went too fast and said like 1, 2, 3, 4, that's too many letters. So make sure we go slow and give each one a number. 1, 2, 3, 4. Same thing when you hand somebody, someone says, give me 3 letters. I would make sure to count them one at a time. 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to stop when I get to that number that somebody tells me. So that's something that you can practice at home with lots of different things. Okay, now talking about you. You, again, makes those 2 sounds. It makes a long sound, which is its name, you. So when you hear a word that begins with the you sound, you know that the first letter has to be you in that word. And it also can make a second sound. It can say, like what a doctor says, or what the doctor makes you say at the doctor's office. When he says, stick out your tongue and say, And so we're going to look at some words, and we're going to decide if they begin with the letter U. And I'm going to have some words that also begin with the letter S. And we know that S, because it kind of looks like a snake, and snakes say S. So in the very beginning of these words, you're either going to hear a U or an or a S sound. And you're going to help me and tell me, did they start with a U or did they start with an S? And I'm going to cover them up because I don't want you to, I covered up what letter it starts with. So this is a umpire, and he makes sure that people who play sports follow all the rules. So let's talk about the first sound in his name. Umpire. So does it begin with a U or an S? Remember, you can say U or and S says thumbs up if you think U, thumbs down if you think it begins with the sound. Umpire. Did you say thumbs up? It does. It begins with a U. It makes the short sound. Umpire. Just like you can. Excellent job. Kiss your brain. How about this one? This is something you make at the beach, or if you have some sand at your house. So this is a sand castle. What's the first sound that you hear in sand castle? Do you hear the U sound, which says U or do you hear the S sound? Sand castle. Thumbs up if you hear the U or sound. Thumbs down if you hear the S sound. Sand castle. Did you have your thumb down? Let's check. You're right. I heard the S sound that S makes in the beginning. Great job. Let's do 2 more. This is a fun little boat, and it has a sail on the top. This is the sail. So we call this a sailboat. Does sailboat begin, the first sound that we hear in sailboat, does it begin with the U or sound, like in U, or does it begin with the S sound? S. Thumbs up if you think it says U or thumbs down if you think it begins with the S sound in S. Did you have your thumb down? Sailboat has that S sound, so it began with an S. I have one more. You might be thinking this is clothing, but this is actually a uniform. This is something that some children have to wear to school. They always have to wear the same clothes over and over, and they call these uniforms. So when I say the word uniform, do you hear the U or sound like in U, or do you hear the S sound like in S? Listen again. Uniform. Thumbs up if you heard the U or thumbs down if you heard the S sound. That one was kind of easy because you actually heard the letter uniform. And don't mind Miss Michelle's nails. I gotta repaint them. Okay, friends. Excellent job. Go ahead and kiss your brains. Yep, brains need lots of kisses. Okay, and while I'm sharing my screen, I want to talk to you about this page. This page is also in your learning kit for today, and I'll give you another letter for next week. And I want you to go ahead and I want you to practice those U's. Miley, I saw you were writing your U's yesterday. Oh, I'm trying to think who else. There was a bunch of people that sent me their U's. And I love that what I see is you're starting at the top, because where do we start our letters? At the top. And even when they're shorter letters, you still start them at the very top. So where do we start our letters? At the top. And the U is kind of an upside down rainbow. So you curve it at the bottom and then you come back up, but you don't close it. And the same thing with the lowercase u, you make a rainbow, but this time it drops down and you kind of give it a foot. And so you can practice copying over theirs, or you could practice making your own today. But I want you to go ahead and keep practicing that over and over, because the better that you get there, you'll be a U master in no time. Okay. We have two more things to do, and then we're done. This one, we're going to do our rhyme time. And when we're doing our rhyme time, we're going to do I'm a little teapot. Now, earlier in the week, we talked about how when we say the rhyme, I'm a little teapot, we hear the sounds shout, out, spout, and stout. And I love that you can hear those while we rhyme and while we have a lot of fun. Now here's my teapot. And when we say short and stout, remember we make ourselves short, so you can kind of just like hunch down. And stout kind of means wide, so you could just, short and stout. And then he has two parts to him, a handle. So when he says, here's my handle, give yourself a handle. And here is my spout. Spout is like the pouring part. So this is where your tea or your hot chocolate or whatever's in your teapot comes out. So you got to give it like a little spout. And when I say get all steamed up, because that's what we do in a teapot, we put liquid in there and then it gets hot. And then once it's hot enough to drink, we pour it out. So I'm going to say the rhyme and I want you to act it out with me. Okay. And when I get to the part that says shout, you can go shout. But if someone's sleeping, don't shout too loud. Okay, here we go. I'm a little teapot, short and stout. Here is my handle, and here is my spout. When I get all steamed up, hear me shout. Tip me over and pour me out. Let's try that again. Great job. Can you please do it with me? Okay, here we go. I'm a little teapot, short and stout. Here is my handle, here is my spout. When I get all steamed up, hear me shout. Tip me over and pour me out. Ah, so fun. And speaking about rhyming words, today I need your help. I have, oops, I didn't share my screen with you. Okay, I have a little house here. And this is the hat house. And only words that rhyme with hat can live in my hat house. You can see my hat on the front. So I have some more, oops. Here are my words. Okay, so let's talk about what the words are. I have the word bee, mat, bat, 3, cat. So if the word rhymes with hat, which means has that same ending sound, that at sound, it can go in the hole, it can live here. But if it doesn't, it has to find a new home. So let's start with this one. Does bat have the same ending sound as hat? Hat, bat. It does. It has that at sound, hat, bat. So it can live in our rhyming house. Okay, let's try this one. And you can give me a thumbs up or down if you think it rhymes. Okay, does this bee have the same ending sound as hat? Hat, bee. No, bee ends with E. Hat ends with at. Nope. Bzz. Okay, how about this one? This is a cat. Hat, cat. It does. It has that same at sound. It can live in the rhyming house. Okay, we have 2 more. 1, 2. Let's try this one. 3. Hat, 3. Ooh, no. This one ends in the E sound, and hat ends in at. It has to find a new home. And the last one, mat. Hat, mat. They had the same ending sound. Hat, mat. It can live in the rhyming house. Did you think of that too? Yes, you guys are getting so good at your rhymes. Excellent. One last thing and then we'll wave goodbye. So yesterday we started our book about how we can help the earth. And I want to talk a little bit about that, and we're going to finish up our book today. And remember, we always start from the front of our book and we read every page until the back. And on the front cover, we have the title, and we said yesterday it had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 words in the title. And we knew that because there's this blank space that tells me that a new word begins. And we looked at the illustration, which is that fancy word for picture. And we noticed that this boy and girl had on a recycling shirts, which means they can reuse, reduce, or recycle things to try to keep it out of the dump. And that we all need to take care of the earth. And so I'm going to quickly go through the pages we already read. This talked about them wanting to help and them thinking of ways that they could help. And we read yesterday that you could pick up trash and put it in the trash cans if you see it out, that you could plant new flowers and trees, and that you can also turn off the lights when you leave the room. And we stopped here. And so you'll notice some yellow print. I was being a U detective, and every time I saw a U earlier today, I was highlighting the U, and you can do that too in your book. So let's start here and let's talk about ways that we can still help our earth. And you can also look for U's. We can take our own bags. So instead of them always giving us those plastic bags, if we bring our own bags to the store and fill them up with our groceries, it would save lots of plastic from going into the trash. Let's see something else. So now we're on page 7. We can turn off the water. And so this shows a little boy with the water off, and we can do that whenever we're done washing our hands. Let's quickly turn the water off. If we're brushing our teeth, we can put a little water on, turn it off, brush, 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 brush. And then when we're done, turn it back on to rinse off our toothbrush. So we don't have to always have the water running if it doesn't need to be. Okay, what else can we do? Now we're on page 8. We can walk or ride our bike. So instead of always getting in the car and going someplace, if it's kind of a short place to go, maybe we can just walk or ride our bikes there. Page 9, we can sort the trash. So remember we talked about certain things like paper, plastic, and aluminum can go, and cans can go into a recycling bin. So not everything goes to the big garbage dump. We can donate toys and clothes. We talked about that last week. Whenever our clothes don't fit us anymore, but there's nothing really wrong with them, or whenever we're done playing with toys, instead of throwing them away, we can give them to a new person. Because we love the earth. And that's the end. We're at the back cover and there's nothing on it. Excellent. I had a lot of fun reading that book with you, and I hope you enjoyed it. Okay, friends, tomorrow I'm going to drop off a new learning kit. So I want you to go ahead and explore your learning kit. Make sure that your grown-up sends me those videos and pictures of you doing some of those activities. And I hope you have a great day. We wave goodbye like this. We wave goodbye like this. We clap our hands for all our friends. We wave goodbye like this. Big heart hands. Miss Michelle loves you so much, and I'll see you later.